Hello everybody, Dave here, and welcome back to Primetime Horror. And in today's video, we are going to be doing a top 10. I used to do top 10s a shit ton, but I haven't done one in a long ass time, so I thought what better way to start out than to do my top 10 favorite horror movies of the 80s. Now, this list was actually very hard to make because obviously the 80s is like the mecca of horror. It's debatable on whether it was the best in terms of quality, but it's definitely the best in terms of quantity. So there was a lot to choose from. I narrowed it down to 10 with some honorable mentions, which we'll get to. I also want to mention my good friend James over on the YouTube channel Ranked by James is also going to be dropping a top 10 80s horror movie video simultaneously as me. So go check his video out. I'll probably link his channel or the YouTube video in the description, and try not to hate on him too much for his takes. I know they're not the best, but he tries, okay? He tries. Anyways, let's get started. Starting off with honorable mentions. Now, I don't normally do honorable mentions, but like I said, there's just so much to choose from that I had to at least mention some that were very close to making it on the list. And my honorable mentions are Night of the Demons, They Live, and The Shining. Coming in at number 10 is Phenomena. This is one of the more recent watches on this list, recent as in the last like 5 years. Most 80s horror movies I've seen a million fucking times in my life, but this one is one that I only watched a few years ago, and I have really grown to love it. It is batshit insane. It follows this American girl going to a boarding school in a foreign country because her dad is like super ultra famous, and I guess he just doesn't have the time to take care of her or some shit like that. And this girl has a weird psychic connection with insects, and there is a killer on the loose, and she is one of the targets of this killer. So her and Donald Pleasance, of all people, uses her ability to communicate with insects to their advantage to track down the killer, survive the killer, kill the killer. You get the idea. There are so many batshit insane scenes in this movie. This is absolutely one of those movies where you remember specific moments rather than the entire plot. Like, there's a chimpanzee who's quite literally a main character and saves the final girl's ass like multiple times in this movie, even in the final act. So that's fucking cool as shit. Also, something that really won me over when it came to this movie is the soundtrack. Motorhead and Iron Maiden. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, that's the cream of the crop right there. So yeah, if you haven't seen Phenomena, I highly suggest you check it out. Coming in at number 9 is an all-time classic. I'm sure most people expected to see this on this list, and that is A Nightmare on Elm Street. Now listen, anyone who knows me well enough knows that I've never been crazy about A Nightmare on Elm Street. There are plenty of horror franchises that I like more than A Nightmare on Elm Street, but I still absolutely adore the first movie. I know some people say, oh, the third is the best, second is the best, but in my opinion, the first one for sure. I like Freddy more when he's actually genuinely scary, and in this movie, other than maybe New Nightmare, it's probably Freddy at his scariest, which I love. I also adore the character of Nancy Thompson. I love a final girl who kicks ass and takes names, and Nancy is definitely one of those. Everything in this movie is iconic, from the killer to the final girl to the insane amount of iconic scenes. I mean, it's endless iconic fierceness when it comes to A Nightmare on Elm Street, and But you all already know that, so it's no shock that it's on this list. Coming in at number 8 is a bit of a deep cut, but I love it anyways. It is a little-known horror movie called Angel. It follows a top-of-the-class high school student by day and a Hollywood hooker by night. She turns to hooking because essentially her family abandons her, to put it very simply, and there is a killer on the loose, shocker, who targets hookers, mega shocker, who targets her, ultra super mega shocker. And it may sound weird that this movie centers around a underage hooker, which on paper is odd, but the way it's executed isn't odd at all. It actually makes you feel really bad for this character. It makes you feel very empathetic for this character. There is no nudity. There is no like super ultra sexual gratuitous scenes with this character. It's simply stuff alluded to, and it's very obvious that she's only taken this route because she has no other options, because she was abandoned by her entire family. Something I love about this movie is it's super character driven. It has a very like ensemble-esque cast. We have an old B-movie western, spaghetti western type actor who is now a street performer as sort of a father figure for the girl, and then as a mother figure for the girl we have like an old classic style 80s drag queen, very sassy, very quick-witted.
Get your ass out of here, okay? Hey, cheapo, I get $5 for that.
Super entertaining to watch and extremely likable. That's something I absolutely love about this movie, is every character is likable. You're rooting for every character and you actually care. And when it comes to 80s horror movies, especially 80s slashers, movies where you actually give a shit about anybody but the final girl are few and far between. For example, there is a scene towards the end of the movie where the killer and the drag mother face off, and it's a really well choreographed epic battle. It's probably the best scene in the movie. Drag queen takes off all of her gear, her fucking bra pads, wig, everything, and just starts brawling with this killer. And the only reason why she loses is because the killer fights dirty, shocker. And it's super sad. Like, this is a very integral character in the movie, a character very, very important to the final girl, the main character. It is a sleazy 80s slasher with a heart, and it is absolutely worth checking out if you haven't seen it already. Coming in at number 7 is going to be John Carpenter's The Thing. Now, this was a movie that I held off on watching for a long time, actually. It just didn't interest me. When I was younger, if a horror movie didn't have like a really iconic like serial killer that grabbed my attention, like a Michael Myers or a Jason, I wasn't really into it. But eventually, as my frontal lobe started to develop, I was like, this movie actually seems great. Everyone absolutely loves it. So I checked it out, and of course, I fell into the group of people that absolutely love it because it's phenomenal. It is a very original concept for the time. It wasn't a typical 80s slasher. You didn't see many horror movies like it at the time. I love a movie with an ambiguous nature, with a bit of mystery behind it. Like, not every question you have is fully answered. You don't know where this alien came from, what fucking planet, what exactly it wants. And by the end of the movie, you don't know if it's fully killed or if one of the two people left alive are secretly the alien in disguise, the thing in disguise. I love a horror movie that leaves you wondering. I know a lot of people don't like that, but I love that because I think in mystery, there's a lot more horror than all the answers just right in your face, if that makes any sense.
What do we do?
Why don't we just wait here for a little while? See what happens.
Coming in at number 6 is Pumpkinhead. Now, a lot of people just think of Pumpkinhead as like, you know, just a calm little 80s creature feature. You know, a lot of Gen Xers have nostalgia for it. Oh yeah, Pumpkinhead, that one horror movie with the fucking giant killer monster thing. Well, yes, it is that, but this movie has a lot more heart to it than people give it credit for. I love that, well, yes, there is Pumpkinhead, crazy killer. You love to see him. You love to see him brutalize the people that deserve it a little bit, at least a little bit. But that's not the main focal point. The main focal point is a grieving father who will do anything for revenge, and then he realizes that no matter how much revenge he gets, it's not going to fix anything. It's not going to fix the hurt. And he realizes that he's just doing terrible damage. He's almost being just as bad as the people who killed his kid in the first place. So he ends up handling it in the way he did. And I think that is very sad. And like I said, it has a lot of heart. And I think that people don't really give this movie as much credit for that aspect. They just think of it as, you know, just a calm little 80s creature feature, which it is, but it's more than that. And I love this movie. Coming in at number 5 is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Now, I don't like this movie more than the original, but damn does it come close. It's a lot like the movie I mentioned earlier, Angel, where there's so many different characters to attach yourself to, so many likable characters, even the villains, where we have Chop Top and the Cook and Bubba and Stretch and Lefty. I mean, there are so many different characters that are actually genuine, good, likable characters. I mean, even in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, other than maybe like Sally and Franklin, the rest of the group of kids that get killed aren't super memorable. We don't get enough time to actually grow any attachment to them. In this movie, every character is just so magnetic, you can't help but root for them, or at least when it comes to the villains, enjoy watching them on your screen. Chop Top is one of my favorite horror villains of all time. Bill Moseley, who plays Chop Top, was the first horror celebrity I ever met when I was 6 years old at a horror convention, so this movie has a very special place in my heart for that. It is the very first Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie I ever saw, which of course adds to it being very important to me, and it's just a fucking fun ass slasher. The only Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies I ever hear the general public talk about, other than the first one, is the remake and part 2, because part 2 is great and it deserves to be on this list.
And maybe the new music's
Coming in at number 4 is another franchise sequel. It is my favorite Friday the 13th movie. It is Friday the 13th, Part 4, the final chapter. Now, obviously, it wasn't the final chapter, but it damn sure was good enough to be one. I mean, if the franchise ended on this one, it could be one of the best, like, 3 or 4 entry franchises out there. Seriously, like, it could be up there with, like, the likes of Evil Dead. This is Human Jason at his absolute most brutal, which I love. My favorite versions of Jason are Human Jason, but Human Jason when he's at his most brutal. So not quite Zombie Jason brutal, but also not quite like Part 2 Human Jason wimpy. Like a good middle ground, and that's exactly what this Jason brings to the table. And also, something I mentioned before is I love when an 80s horror movie, or any horror movie in general, gets you to actually care about the main characters and their survival. And this movie does that with Tommy and his sister and his mom and even the fucking dog. You actually genuinely care about their survival and what happens to them. And something really smart that this movie does is it almost separates the cast into two, where we have our group of nothing characters just to pan out the body count, you know, just teenagers to get cool kills in one house, and then the other house we have the characters that you're actually supposed to care about, which I think is very smart because, you know, Friday the 13th is known for its abundance of awesome kills, and this movie saves the abundance of awesome kills for the characters you're not really meant to care that much for, and then saves the real intense nature for the characters you're actually supposed to care about, which is, you know, Tommy and his whole family. So yeah, I've explained a million times why I love this movie, but I don't mind explaining it even more because, you know, it's my favorite Friday movie. I love it. So, of course, it deserves to be on this list. Coming in at number 3 is my favorite holiday horror movie, other than Halloween, of course, is My Bloody Valentine. I absolutely wish that this could have been a franchise or at least gotten a single sequel. There was absolutely room for this movie to get a sequel since the killer got away, but we never got it. But, you know, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe the sequels would have been absolute dog shit and brought down the original a little bit. So, at least there's that. And yeah, this movie just has a shit ton of charm. It has a lot of charm. It almost feels like some kind of 80s soap opera at times with the whole love triangle storyline going on. And it's perfect. It gives the movie a certain charming vibe that you don't really get from other horror movies, at least not other 80s horror movies. This movie actually does a shockingly good job of telling the story of the love triangle and making you actually care, you know, who the girl chooses. And something I also like about this movie is, at least to me, the killer isn't super overly obvious in this movie. I feel like you'd know it's obviously one of the two guys in the love triangle, but you don't quite know who, because both of them have equal reasons why they could or couldn't be the killer. So having the killer be a bit more unpredictable than a lot of other horror movies where it's a mystery killer, I really appreciate that. Something I also love about this movie is its setting. It takes place in a mine, getting chased by a serial killer in a gas mask, which is already horrifying enough to me, in a dingy, dark mine where you don't know your way around. There are things around you all the time, you know, like fucking collapsing rocks, tools, things like that. You could trip over, fall over, hurt yourself on. You have no fucking clue what's going on. And the killer you're getting chased after, you're in his domain. He knows his way around. He knows how to handle himself down there. So you're pretty much fucked. I think that is a very creepy, scary setting, and it's something that I don't really see many people talk about in this horror movie, but I definitely love that aspect of it.
This whole fucking town is going to die! We're coming back, you bastards!
Sarah, be my bloody Valentine.
Coming in at number 2 is going to be Halloween 2. Now, this is my favorite Halloween movie as it stands currently. I love everything about this movie. It is everything good about the original and everything good about any other Halloween sequel after it. It has the action, the memorable scenes, while still having that same very creepy, haunting aspect that the original movie had. It still makes Michael Myers almost feel like a ghost, but instead of haunting Haddonfield or the Myers house, he's haunting a hospital, which in a way is even scarier because hospitals are already creepy as fuck. I mean, it's a all white, completely sterile, cold area surrounded by sick and dying people. So it's already creepy as it is. And you bring someone like The Shape, Michael Myers, into the mix, it just makes it a really creepy, unsettling setting. So yeah, this movie has that factor for it, but it also has like crazy 80s, like classic 80s slasher action in it too, with the abundance of iconic scenes whether it's the blood tears, Michael walking on fire, Michael busting through a window, Michael lifting up a girl with one fucking hand with nothing but a scalpel. I mean, the amount of iconic scenes in this movie are endless. In my opinion, more iconic scenes in this movie than in the original Halloween. Now, that's absolutely no gripe on the original Halloween. I'm just saying this movie has a crazy amount of memorable scenes. And when it comes to a horror movie, and especially a horror movie sequel, you have to be memorable. Take Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, for example. Not a terrible movie, just super non-memorable. I don't fucking remember shit from that movie, so it falls really low on the ranking. This movie, complete opposite. Super memorable, super fun, has the best of both worlds when it comes to the Halloween franchise and what people like from it. And for that, I think it's a perfect Halloween sequel and a perfect movie to have on this list. And coming in at number 1, my current favorite movie of all time, we have Hellraiser. Now, there is just nothing that can compare to Hellraiser for me. It is exactly my type of movie. We have crazy BDSM latex torture porn demons. One's fat as fuck, one has pins in his head, one has no eyes and his mouth is ripped open. I mean, that is my type of shit right there. And something I've always praised this movie for is the usage of its villains. Now, obviously the most memorable characters in the movies are the Cenobites, but they're barely used. They're only in this movie for like 7 minutes, but they're used in such a way where any scene they're in, it feels so grand and earned, and you're watching the movie excited and anticipating the next time they appear, just because they have such a presence that you'll sit through an entire movie just to watch the 7 minutes they're in. I also love Kirsty, the final girl in this movie. Something that I think people don't really think about when they think of her as a final girl is she's not fighting some serial killer. She's not fighting some dude in a mask. She's fighting a gang of demons from hell. Very different from like a Laurie Strode or a Sidney Prescott or something. Because people say, oh, she doesn't do that much. Well, yeah, maybe she isn't as active as those other final girls, but what she's up against is, when you think about it, a much, much bigger, crazier, biblical level threat than just a fucking dude in a mask. So I have always appreciated her as a final girl for that. There are so many different aspects of this movie I love, whether it's the usage of the villains, or the final girl, or the atmosphere, or the writing, that I could make an entire video just talking about each thing I love about this movie. So each time I talk about it, I sort of just pick different things I like to bring up for that particular moment. So for now, those are just a very small amount of the reasons why I love this movie. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you want me to rank any of the other decades, what other top 10s you'd like to see. I am always open to suggestions when it comes to videos you guys want to see. Make sure to check out my TikTok and Instagram as always. They're linked in the video description. They're also linked in my channel bio and at the end of every video. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!